Hi everybody, Don Cramer at Urban Realty. We are here with our April housing market report for Las Vegas. So let's take a look to see what happened in April 2020 compared against March's numbers as well as April of last year. We've got some interesting stats, so we want to be able to provide you with the numbers and information and what our findings and what the direction is telling us, so you can make the best decision possible about buying, selling, or investing in Las Vegas real estate. So let's dive into the numbers, shall we? So in the month of April, we did have a drop-off of homes that were sold. So April home sales in the Las Vegas Valley, single-family residences, that number came in at 1,971 homes. So that is, pretty good drop from March's number. So March we had 2,764 properties. So that's a 28.7% month-over-month drop in sales. Compared to last year, which was also a pretty busy month, April 2019, we had 2,878 homes sold. So that's a 31.5% drop. Now that being said, let's kind of take a look at what the situation was. So in March, we sort of had a first half of the month, second half of the month effect. The first half of the month, we were quite busy. We had as many houses going into contract as we did going onto the market. So on our inventory numbers, we're down in the low 4,000 range for single family homes. So, things were going great. Then COVID-19 settles in on the state and on the city. Mid-month, we start shutting down the strip, conventions are canceling, stay-at-home orders come in, as well as a national effect on lending. Money availability for loans was becoming quite tight for a period of time, and we had such a surge of home purchases, refinances. So there was also a small credit crunch there for a period of time. And also too, banks, to make sure that they had enough cash on hand, were concerned about lending out on things like jumbo loans, things of that nature. And we still have some effects, but it really sort of tightened up right in that mid-month. So we had a few sales also fall out in March, but the full effect wasn't felt until April. So with that in mind, stay at home, lending becoming tougher in the month of April, and everything going on, social distancing, what could you do, what could you not do? Just shy of 2,000 homes is still a pretty good number, all things considered. And if we compare that to, when do we normally sell about that many homes? Well, the last time we did that was February of 2019. So that was when the economy was still going great. Now, granted, interest rates were higher. Again, it's a smaller month. We're just coming out of holidays, but that's around when, that's not a surprise to sell that many homes. So all things considered, throwing the giant wet blanket on the state of Nevada for business, and all things considered, 2,000 homes, not the end of the world. Rumors of our demise in Las Vegas, like the last time, are greatly exaggerated. So let's take a look. We'll move on here to the next couple of slides. So the next piece we want to talk about is the median home price. Now, we also did have a slight decrease in the median home price. Now, that being said, we were in March, a median home price of home sales was $319,000. That is the highest number recorded in Las Vegas Valley. That's even higher than our pre-2008 Great Recession numbers. So that 319, again, we had low inventory, we had high demand, we had low interest rates, things were hopping. We rolled from March into April. That number is now 310,000 median home sold price for the month of April. So we went from 319 in March to 310 in April. The 2.8% drop. All things considered, that is not bad. And actually, if you look at it versus April of last year, April's 2019 median home sold price was 300,000. So we're still 3.3 percentage points higher. Now that cooling off of the median home price actually does help some buyers as we kind of move back into a more normal environment where we are able, lending's kicking back up again, jobs are starting to kick back up again, or people that have still had jobs in places are able to qualify for mortgages. A little bit of that savings, low interest rates, a slight check on the median home price, although not dramatic, will give buyers some incentives to purchase. While at the same time, people thinking about selling their home know that for the most part, equity is still being held in their properties currently. Now, while we did have that slight drop, there's probably a couple of reasons why that we'll dive into the next couple slides as to why it was a slight drop and what sort of affecting that. Now, one of the reasons for our median home price holding in at 310, and although it's slight recede from the March high, are new listings. So in April, we had 2,630 new homes hit the market. Now compare that to March of this year, that number was 3,815. And compared to April of last year, that's 4,407. So we actually didn't have that we had a drop off in homes going onto the market in April. That being said, when we had a low in March with inventory, and then we didn't add normally what we add this time of the year because this is sort of the selling season in Las Vegas for homes. That kept the supply in check and in a good position in regards to people interested and still wanting or still able to buy. So with a decrease in homes going up for sale while maintaining pace with homes going into contract and being sold, we're seeing that median home price stabilize right around 310. Now we'll be curious to see what May is going to look like, but what we've seen in the first couple signs of May is we're seeing about as many homes go into contract as are going up on the market. So I think we're going to still see some balance in the median home price, which is a good thing. So again, while a decrease, and there's no doubt about it, with 2,630 new listings in April, that kept home prices in check because it is relatively in line with the demand that's going on right now. Now, April, we actually ended the month, just again following out that, with 6,967 homes active for sale on the market. Now that's a little drop off from March's number of 7,170, but if you actually roll this back a year ago we were much higher. We had 9,656 homes for sale in April of 2019. Yeah. So we're down a fair amount year over year. That's 27.8% decrease in active homes for sale. But again, it's keeping within range of what the current demand is. So again, keeping prices in line. So we've reduced our supply. However, at 6,900 homes, there's still some variety out there for buyers to choose from. And, that demand is still keeping pace to keep the prices in line. So that's April homes for sale. And then if you look at the month supply availability, that number, like I said, is keeping pace because we're at 3.2 months of supply of current inventory. Now in March, that number, because of what was slowing down, was about 3.2 as well. April last year, we actually had a 3-month supply. So we had a slightly higher degree of demand, but again, we also had more inventory. So that 3.2 months of supply for single family homes is a pretty healthy number. We don't want that number to get down to, we've seen it sometimes get down to almost a month's supply. That is a market that's running, almost too fast in some cases. Buyers want some choices. They want some options. Sellers also want to be able to, sell at still a good value, good position, a good value. If you go to some other markets, there are markets in the United States that they would be thrilled with a 4-month supply or even anything under 6, because like 6 or more, they say, well, that's kind of a buyer's market. Anything below is a seller's market. In Vegas, with construction and development, we kind of have a high standard. So 3.2 to 4, roughly that amount of inventory and demand, supply months of homes available for sale. It's kind of about sort of a middle ground for us. You can make a little argument that's still a little seller friendly, but I think with everything going on right now, I think there's arguments for both buyer and seller positions at this time. Now moving on to the average days on market. So sort of in keeping, an average listing in Las Vegas is on the market for approximately 44 days. Now that's a little drop, but not much, from 45 days back in March. So we're just slightly over 6 weeks a listing is sitting on the market. That's a pretty fair number, all things considered. Now a year ago we were moving a little faster, where the average listing was on the market for 34 days. But we'll kind of continue to see how houses sit on the market. What we are seeing, just sort of in the field, are homes that are move-in ready. That means freshly repainted. Carpets replaced probably within the last year or even replaced prior to sale, fresh carpeting, maybe some flooring changes. Some people moving to the extremes, like repainted cabinets or counter. I wouldn't say extremes, but able to take it a little further with regards to cabinets repainted like lacquered white or espresso. Again, the current design trends. Well, those updates to a home are really providing some value that the new buyers, because they're concerned about spending extra money after they close on their house, are able to basically put into the mortgage. So that's helping attract buyers. So if you are thinking about selling, fresh coat of paint, let's take a look at the flooring, especially carpeting issues, fresh carpet, flooring, and then maybe a couple other things. Those types of items are going a long way in getting a house on the market and getting a house into contract and sold faster than ones that are not. Other thing too, if you have the opportunity, houses that can be made vacant to be able to show in a more safe environment with COVID-19, meaning that we don't have homeowners still living there, and then you have people showing back and forth. While we can still put in safe protocols for that, just the ability for buyer agents and buyers, once they've determined which houses they're interested in, can go and tour quickly. That is also helping move houses a little bit faster than ones that are owner occupied. Not saying that we can't sell an owner occupied home. I'm just saying, just not moving quite as quickly. And as most of the investors know right now, if you are thinking about selling an investment property right now, due to current regulations, the state of Nevada, buyer agents and buyers cannot go into a tenant occupied property. Now that may change in a few weeks as we start moving into the next phase of opening up Nevada. However, at this time, again, a tenant owner occupied property cannot be shown. So while we're working with clients that have tenant owner occupied properties, we have to go and really put together a pretty advanced media digital package with videos, 3D tours, a lot of photography to really explain the home and the property in its current state, so that the potential buyer investor knows or buyer investor are getting into. It's not to say that those houses again aren't moving. It's just that we have a couple of more hoops and ways to maneuver around in a tenant occupied property listing. Now, a couple other pieces what we did do too, and we've got these slides here, is we wanted to kind of see why or what is going on in different price points. So we've got some slides here that show what's going on with homes under 250,000, those in the 250 to 500 range, homes in 500 to 750 range, 750 to a million, and then a million up, what we basically call the luxury market. I think this also provides some insight as to the median price point and demand. That being said, our meat of the market in Las Vegas is that 250,000 to 500,000 homes. In April, we mentioned we had about 6,900 homes roughly for sale. Well, those active listings, almost 4,000, 3,999 properties priced between 250 and 500,000 makes up a pretty good chunk of that number. That also accounted, there were, of those, 1,728 were new listings in the month of April, and then closed sales were 1,300. So of the just shy of 2,000 homes sold, 1,300 homes sold in April were valued again between 250 and 500,000. As we start moving up market, as you can see, those numbers start, the numbers of listings and sales drop off. And especially when we get to the luxury market at the $1 million price point, 544 listings, 89 new homes on the market, 34 homes sold. So again, it's pretty, it kind of goes in hand. The further you move up price point, the longer it takes to sell. Also, too, we don't have as much of that inventory, so we don't have as many of those homes coming in. Prior to COVID-19 and everything, those markets were moving a little bit faster. So if you look at it, it's almost kind of like in that luxury market, we're almost a 16-month supply roughly between active listings and closed sales. Prior to, when you go back to January, February, that number was more down to 10. So if we were, a theory would be, if we weren't having COVID-19 and the economy was still doing well, let's say we had 544 active listings, you wouldn't be too far off to say, okay, well, we'd probably have somewhere around 50 homes sold in the month of April that were $1 million plus, because that's what the trend lines were looking like before COVID-19. And that being said, what I mean by that is, in the median home price, we have that slight reduction, but the good news is the meat of our market kind of makes up right around that median home price. So because we're not seeing maybe as many homes plus 500,000 selling as we did prior to COVID-19 and the shutdown, that had an effect to move that median home price slightly lower. But again, we're not seeing a dramatic shift because that main core market of our real estate here in Las Vegas is basically that 250,000 to 500,000. If we were in another location, let's say Southern California, Los Angeles, New York, where you have much more higher dollar per real estate, obviously, yes, a much higher median price, but that luxury market, some of those listings can really sway the positioning of the median home price and average sales prices. And so because we're, are above 500,000, I mean, if you look at all total, it's about 1,400 homes. That 1,400 to 1,500 homes compared to, the meat of the market of 250 to 500,000 at 4,000 homes, it's a fraction. So, I mean, it's not quite a third, but as you can see, that those upper markets are having a little effect, not a major effect, on the average selling price. And then lastly, our days on market, because we wanted to kind of take a look and see what each of the price point groups, how long they're taking how long they're taking. Under 250, we're seeing homes go into contract on average 43 days. Compared to March, that was 42. Compared to a year ago, a little busier at 29. In the 250,000 to 500,000 price point segment, average time on market in April 2020 is 43 days. In the 500,000 to 750 range, we're seeing an average of 56 days. In the 750 to $1 million price point range, we're seeing homes on average 79 days, so just over 2.5 months. And then over $1 million price point, they are typically on market between going for sale and going into contract just over 3 months, or approximately 3 months or 91 days. So that's the April housing market recap for the Las Vegas Valley. If you have any questions about the data or got some thoughts on it, love to hear some of the comments. Again, with everything impacting our state and our city, we are, the housing market is still moving along. We're in mid-May right now. We've seen some early signs that things are actually improving month over month in May versus April. So that is encouraging. Also, too, with restrictions starting to be lifted, we're now into phase 1 per the governor of reopening Nevada. We're looking at phase 2 circa, that's kind of bobbling between Memorial Day and end of month, 1st of June. Hopefully those things again continue to increase employment, bringing people back, bringing customers into businesses, and starting to move the economy again. We want to see how that continues to affect our housing market. Again, on behalf of my partner, Colleen Schaefer, I'm Don Cramer. Together we make the Cramer Group at Urban Nest Realty. And more now than ever, as we love to say, and we believe this strongly, your real estate experience matters. So my side, as Colleen and I like to say, I'm kind of the numbers guy. She's the woman that's, with the experience and being around the industry and just, has got a great feel for it. We're coupling those two things together to help our clients make the right decision about whether to buy, sell, or invest in Las Vegas real estate. And in looking at the April numbers, we're still, in certain situations, believe that from a buyer side, we're still in a good position. From a seller side, we're still in a good position. And from an investor side, in certain circumstances, those are definitely worth considering and an interesting position there. I think we want to have a separate video on investing that we want to dive into a little more, but from a buying and selling owner occupied, definitely worth having the discussion and figuring out the plans. So again, on behalf of Colleen and myself, we thank you for tuning in to today's video on the April housing market report and wish you a wonderful day. Till next time, take care. Bye-bye.